full moon conditions, which means massive tide swings. We got super low tide right now. About 3 to 4 foot wind swell at the launch. Launch is looking a little hairy. Should be able to punch through and time the sets. But let's hope that this big tide swing gets some current moving, and we'll hopefully have some water moving out in the corner and get some conditions that we like. So let's see how this launch goes. Alright guys, made it through the launch. A little bit hectic. Got some punchy, short interval wind swell, about 3 feet. And took a couple in the lap. Got a little hole in my waders, so feeling a little cold on the backside right now, but should be interesting coming back on the way in. But let's get outside the reserve, see if we can find some bait and head out towards the corner. All right guys, I'm here in 100 feet in the flats just past the reserve line. Had a little bit of a fog bank move in here. Looks really thin, should burn off as soon as sun gets overhead, but we gotta be extra careful, listening for boats, scanning the radio for traffic, and then we're gonna just make sure we're being extra safe. You know, you guys, anytime you're in the fog, you're obviously always wearing a PFD, but just be extra alert, you know. Shit happens. A lot of people will tell you just to go straight in, but just use common sense, and be aware of if you're in an area that typically has a lot of kayakers, or if you're in an area that really there's no boats won't be expecting you. Here in La Jolla, I think most of the boaters have a good idea that there's going to be kayaks around. That being said, you should always assume that they don't see you. So we're just going to be quiet. We're listening through the fog and hoping we can find a big wad of bait here. So we're scanning. We're here at 107 feet. I got 63-degree water temp and kind of a scattering layer between 40 to 80 feet, so we got a little noise. I may turn up the noise filter here on the sonar. But yeah, we're scanning on 83 kilohertz, looking for that wad of hard bait cloud that would indicate some mackerel. So probably won't have too much luck jigging these anchovies or sardines. Typically they're pretty shy from the sabiki, so let's hope this fog burns off here pretty quick. Guys, I got a mark right on my jig. I don't know if you can see it. Big old arch on the bottom, checking out my jig. Could be a mammal, or it could be a big ass donkey. Can't tell definitively. But if I have a sea lion pop up next to me here in the next 20 seconds, I'll know that probably was not a fish and that it was a mammal, but it's a damn good looking mark. All right guys, as you can see, still in some fog here. Seems like it's lightening up. Sun will burn this stuff off. But since I'm unable to see any landmarks, I'm cruising around with a split screen using my GPS just to get a general idea of kind of where I'm at, which way the current's going. So you can kind of see I'm not a whole lot of current right now. I was kind of pedaling out to the west, but if I stop pedaling, I can see kind of which way the current's taking me and make some inferences about the drift and the current. But I'm still seeing some pretty promising bait marks here and there. I like how, notice how this water is chocolate milk and super gross, but there's not a whole lot of grass, kelp, flotsam and jetsam floating in the water. So you can see, let's see if I can get closer. So you can see here on my sonar, like I got a clean screen. There's no clutter, there's no weird kelp strands or grass floating in the water. So I really like this. I got a little bit of noise interference here. I could knock that out by going into advanced settings and turning my surface clarity up 1 notch to low. And you'll see that, let's see, didn't do a whole lot. You can see it kind of knocked out that initial 5 feet of interference. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and go back in here again. So we got surface clarity on low, noise rejection's low. If I turn that up to medium, we'll see a lot of that probably clear up here. Now slightly cleaner. But yeah, we got a lot of dinoflagellates and planktonic activity in the top part of the water column. So a lot of this is just kind of scattering interference from from those plankton, but I'll go, we're not cleaning this up too much, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this back to noise rejection off, or excuse me, noise rejection low, surface clarity off. It's not too bad. I don't want to lose too much resolution in the top part of the water column because there are sardines and mackerel up in here feeding on this zooplankton, so I would like to be able to mark those. Sometimes if you have your filters on too high, you might filter out some of that bait in the top 20 feet of the column. So leaving this settings here. Maybe I can roll through a few other of my settings if you guys want to take a look. Of course, I'm on 83 kilohertz, not using the chirp right now. Sometimes I will use the chirp. I go full screen, and also when I'm in these kinds of waters, I will do a double the scroll speed. So if we go into the menu, you can see my frequency is 85 kilohertz. I got my range on auto. My sensitivity is auto +2. I like to get a little more sensitivity, you know, because I am looking pretty deep here. And color line at 76%. So if you guys want to go ahead and copy those settings, if you have a Lowrance unit, I'm pretty sure that's going to work for you in about 90% of your scenarios in La Jolla. Diving a little deeper into the settings, we'll go to advanced. You can see my noise rejections on low, surface clarity off, ping speed max. Anytime you're in deeper water, you want to just max out this ping speed. It'll give you the best resolution. And then I take my scroll speed up to 2x. Because I like to have a faster feedback. Sometimes if you have it on the regular scroll speed, you may see the beginning of a mark, but it takes so long for the worm to get on your screen that by the time you can confirm what it is, it's too late to drop on it. So I like a 2x scroll speed to help me drop on the marks real time and confirm that it actually is a fish and not some other type of interference. So that's a rough guideline for my settings. I will use the 200 kilohertz sometimes when I'm looking for bait, or if I have a lot of clutter in the column, I'll go to a split screen with A3 200. Well, in this case it's high chirp, so let me go ahead and change this to 200 kilohertz. Okay, and this screen's got to scroll in and show us the bottom, so we'll give that a second to catch up here. But then yeah, so that's some of my settings, and it's probably one of the most common questions I get. So yeah, it looks like we're having some issues. 200 kilohertz is not reading the bottom. That's a problem. So I might have to reset my sonar settings here and play around with that. So we'll tune back in here in a sec. All right, so we got some bait here on the bottom. Let's drop, see if we can pull up some mackerel. Oh, we got bait fish right below the surface here. I'm getting bit in this top cloud right here. Let's see what it is. And a juicy greenback. Nice, it's a good bait. I like this. So just kind of zigzag back and forth between 100 to 120 feet. And you'll be able to more or less stay in your target zone that you want to find. You know, or you might be fishing in by the kelp and, you know, 60, 70, 80 feet. Know your target range, you know, depth range of about 30 to 40 feet, and just kind of zigzag and bounce around between that. You'll find that, you know, it's definitely not like largemouth bass fishing or rock fishing or where you're looking for that structure, you know. These yellowtail are keyed in on schools of bait, and those schools of bait are constantly moving around. They're getting pushed around. The bait's trying to feed on zooplankton, and the bigger bait's trying to feed on the smaller bait. So you know, they'll be constantly moving. You know, a lot of guys will kind of focus on their GPS coordinates, and it's good to know, you know, where you got some structure, where you got some reefs. But for the most part, you want to be more reactive, kind of watching the conditions, watching the current, watching the bait. See what the fish are up to. All right, we got some mackerel here. Feels like greenback, real feisty. All right, we got 3 nice greenbacks. All right, here's a tip for you guys. When you get a stringer of fish like this on your sabiki, always grab the weight first. Oh, lost one. But grab the weight first. Try to grab the fish off the hook and you're just gonna stick yourself. Grab the weight, keep a little tension in the line. I'll hold my mackerel directly over my bait tank and shake them off without even touching them. Got a nice big wad. Let's make a couple more pieces. We'll get out of here. There we go, more mackerel. Okay, here we got some sardines. Small sardines here. These would be great bait in the right tank, but I have good greenbacks. Greenback is a preferred bait. These most likely will not live in my bait tank, so I'm not going to keep these. I'm going to go ahead and shake these sardines off. A lot of people will probably say, what the hell are you doing? Sardines are the best bait you can get. You know, a lot of times yellowtail may be keyed in on only sardine, but I promise you, you put a bunch of sardines in your kayak bait tank in the red tide and they will all be dead within 20 minutes. So I'll prefer the greenbacks. They live longer on the hook, live longer on the tank. So let's see if we can find that school again. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's looking like mackerel. Checking out my lure. Hopefully there's some yellowtail lurking beneath these mackerel. Oh, there's a knock. All right, we got a mackerel on. Feels like a pretty heavy one. I'm just gonna let this mackerel kind of spaz out on my jig for a minute. See if, uh-oh. All right, he's bouncing and spazzing. Not seeing the bigger marks. Let's see. Oh, a nice sized greenback, perfectly hooked through the nose. All right, guys, this is a pretty big mackerel, but trust me, this is a white sea bass size. These 10, 12 inchers, these things will get crushed by a sea bass. Don't throw these big baits back. That's a nice big greenback Pacific mackerel, also known as the chub mackerel. In the tank. So to get those really clear sonar shots, the new Lowrance units, Elite TI level and higher, come equipped with Wi-Fi. So I've connected my phone to the Wi-Fi signal here. You can see that it's discovered it as Elite 7 Ti. My phone has already remembered this Wi-Fi, but in order to connect, you'll have to use the Wi-Fi password specific to your Lowrance device. Maybe I'll do another video to explain that. But so once we're connected to the Wi-Fi, I'm going over to the Link app, which works, I believe, for, here's some more marks. All right, I have 2 Lowrance units, so I'm going to select the TI2. All right, and then I'm going to go into remote control. So now you can see that it's connected, and I can now see the same screen with my cell phone as what's on the sonar. So now all I got to do from here is just take a screenshot, save it in my save to files. Boom. Now I got a bitchin' screenshot that I can analyze later. The app isn't great, but it works for what I use it for. I can also do screen capture, where I'll do a video. But yeah, it works pretty good. This will get you the best possible sonar shots. A lot of you guys are like trying to take pictures of the screen, and you got glare and fish guts and everything all over there. This will give you a perfect, you know, high resolution shot. So try that next time. Big mark here, maybe dog, maybe not. Alright guys, I've been seeing some decent marks around here, so I'm gonna go ahead and put a live bait out. I'm gonna put a live bait on this Carolina rig. I will put the tackle setup in the description, but we got a 3-ounce sliding egg sinker. I got 2 plastic beads, a 80-pound McMahon swivel, mainline 65-pound Power Pro green leader, 30-pound copolymerizer line to a 3/0 ring circle hook. I'm gonna go ahead and pin a greenback on here and send it back. I like to hook the greenback. A lot of people will go sideways through the mouth like this, through the nose. I find that it causes a lot of trauma. I'll go upward through the jaw, kind of between where the skull and the jawbone meet, if you can see right there, kind of where it came through. And just gently pop it through. And he's off. Feisty little greenback. As you can see, my Carolina rig as it dropped down here. Dropping down, you can see the weight and the fish. Right now I'm hovering right by the bottom. So I know I have about 120 feet of line out. I'm gonna start slow trolling, let a little bit of line out, and I'm hoping that this bait's gonna cruise between 100 and 120 feet as I'm slow trolling along. I'm gonna put this bait clicker on with a light drag so that if it gets hit, the fish can take line. I'm just gonna put that in the rod holder. And let's get on the move. You can see when I put it in the rod holder, it lifted it up off the ground. So as I'm slowly trolling, I'm just gonna let out a little more line, keep it close to the bottom. All right, we got a snagged greenback on here, kind of weirdly snagged. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave that on there and drop him back down. Just gotta be careful that my Carolina rig doesn't drift underneath me and get tangled with my jig here, but got birds just diving all around. Looking pretty good. Big old dog here. A lot of people kind of like try to avoid sea lions. First of all, they're sea lions, not seals. Harbor seals are a thing too, but they're not nearly as much of a pain in the ass as the sea lions. I hear a lot of people complaining about the sea lions and like, I want to kill them, I want to shoot them. Sea lions are actually a really good sign. I key in on the sea lions. A lot of times you can't find bait. The sea lions are on the bait, they're on the fish. I mean, just because you have a sea lion there does not mean that the yellowtail or white sea bass are not going to swim right through those dogs. And so many times I've caught big game fish when I've had dogs all around me. So you really just don't know. You can see this mark right here. This is most likely the dog that I just saw. He's just hanging out underneath my boat, waiting for me to drop him down a little snack. But like I said, man, dogs know where the bait is. So do the yellowtail. A lot of times you'll see the yellowtail and the white sea bass mixed right in with these sea lions. So I would not leave the area just based on the fact that sea lions are there. If you're getting your bait robbed by them, then you need to change your tactics, maybe switch over to the iron, or be more alert on where your bait's drifting. All right, guys, we're in a real fishy zone here. We're in 130 feet. I got about 40 feet worth of bait on the surface. Likely that's sardine and anchovy mixed with mackerel mixed in. I got tons of birds here. Cormorants, terns, pelicans, and seagulls all working this bait. There's also sea lions on it. I'm optimistic that we may see a swim through here, or maybe even see some busters on the surface. I'm gonna try to hang with this bait ball as it moves and see if I can stick with it long enough until the fish find it, or see some kind of sign that it's biting. But I mean, you guys can see here, I got 40 to 60 feet worth of bait and pretty clear bottom. So if there's any big fish that swim through in the bottom half of the contour, I'm definitely gonna see them on the meter. I'm gonna check my bait right now and swap out my greenback. Pretty good idea just to, check your baits. Sometimes, probably the most frequent thing that'll happen is that the bait will get twisted and the hook will kind of twist, especially with the circle hook. The hook twists in the bait's nose, and then it'll like kind of pin its mouth shut and then it can't breathe. So you want to check it pretty frequently and make sure your mackerel's still alive. A lot of times you'll just feel them kicking and head shakes, but My mackerel's feeling pretty dead, so I'm gonna bring him in, take a look and see if he's still alive. Because I'm in this fishy zone, I definitely want to have a lively, spunky bait to attract the attention of any predators around here. Even if he's alive, but he's just kind of barely limping along, it's probably not going to be a great choice for me. As you can see, he's looking pretty dank still, but you know what? I'm going to swap him out. I'm going to put on a little bigger one. Yeah, fatty ding dong. That'll get their attention. All right, let's send this guy down. It's getting to be mid to late morning, around 10:30 or so. Bait kind of calmed down. Bait's not really around. Birds have dispersed. I think they're out over the canyon. Have not seen any marks that I thought were real fish. Haven't seen much of anything in the last hour or so. So I'm gonna start working in. I'm gonna zigzag my, what's that? That's just my mackerel probably being angry. I'm gonna work my way in, kind of zigzag across the flats on my way into the reserve, and hopefully I'll run over the fish. Other than that, I'll be on my way in and off to work. Pick up your trash, and if you see trash in the water, help us out, pick it up too. Easy to pick up when you're in the kayak, close to the water. All right guys, we're gonna call it. Got blanked on the yellowtail. Sun's finally coming out, but we got some southwest wind picking up here and some texture on the surface. Still plenty of bait around, but nothing chasing it. Never saw the yellows on the meter, never saw them on the surface. Could be an afternoon thing. These current comes up and those fish find that bait in the sun and could bust wide open despite the wind. But I gotta head in and go to work. So I'm gonna release my bait here by the edge of the canyon, and we'll see you guys at the launch. Surf's looking pretty hectic. That 2 to 4 foot short interval wind swell now's got a morning worth of wind chop on it, so things are looking interesting. I'm gonna go ahead and stash all my stuff, Fishfinder, phone, tie down my poles, secure my drive, radio's gonna get stashed, completely clear off the deck. That way if I do yard sale, hopefully I'll just be cleaning up some sand out of my reels, and that'll be about the extent of the damage. So yeah, we'll see. I'm gonna tie everything down and try to punch through this. All right guys, well, we're back on shore. Made it through the surf. Got lucky, time to set. There's a couple of crushers, short interval stuff, and a little bit of a high tide, so interesting landing for sure. Got lucky, snuck in between the sets, had all my stuff tied down. I'll see what the video turned out like. All right, well, let's go get the truck and get loaded up and get off the beach. Alright guys, that's gonna do it. We didn't get our yellowtail that we were trying for. Pretty tough out there. Positive signs are red tide's clearing up. Found plenty of bait. Never saw any sign of the fish, never had a bite, never had a mark that I thought was a yellowtail, but I'm pretty sure they were there. We had that fog all morning, and you know, with that red tides, low light conditions, hard for the fish to find the bait. Things are looking better out there. I'll be on it again soon. Yeah, hopefully you guys like this new video format. Typically I just post videos of me actually catching fish. So if you want to see me catch a yellowtail, maybe go check out one of those other videos, maybe not this one. But if you guys like the tips and stuff that we were doing and just fishing along with me and, you know, me talking to the camera, I'd really appreciate it if you guys leave a comment, maybe suggest something that I can do in a new video, or go ahead and leave me a comment in the comment section and I'll reply to you guys as quick as I can. If you guys want to find me on Instagram, you can find me at Beatrice1138. Yeah, thanks for joining along. I'll see you next time. I'll see you at the launch.